Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. Joyce Christine Bailey Lewis talking to you again and trying to come up with some ideas about what we're going to do now that we have a, uh, a plan to immunize the people in the United States against the coronavirus. This is a good thing. It's like when we had polio and we all knew somebody who had it. We all knew someone who was crippled from polio and some people who died. And then came along a vaccine. Some people refused to take it, just as they're refusing to take the vaccine for the coronavirus. There are many reasons why you would think that it might be deadlier than the disease. African American people have a right to think that it is not safe to take vaccines that are given to them, mainly because we have been guinea pigs for all of the medications that have been tried and needed someone to test them out on over the years, especially with the syphilis studies. Now, we all know about the Tuskegee syphilis study, and that has scared us all about anything that anybody wants to do to us that comes from the outside. The syphilis studies were, if you don't know about them, were studies that used African American males in Tuskegee to see if they would live or die, or how the immunizations would affect them. And of course, they died. But that wasn't the only study that was going on. There were studies that were not published, never were published. And one I know about personally because it affected my sister. At 14 years old, she was taken from the high school and taken to a place out in the woods with a number of other students from our school, male and female. And they were kept in this place way away from everybody else. Now, why my father let her go and didn't fight to keep her from going, I do not know. Except I know that in those days, black people did not question what white people told them to do. Unfortunately, my sister was 14 years old, had never had sex, didn't know anything about male and female relationships, and she was taken off to this place. And she said that every morning they were given shots. They were taken into a room and their dresses were pulled up, or their boys' pants were pulled down, and they were given a shot in the hip. And then they were made to clean the building, work in the kitchen. She worked in the kitchen. And they were made to work all day long as sick as dogs. The medicine made them sick. They weren't sick when they got there, but they were sick the whole time they were there. She said that there was one woman, a white woman, who had sores all over her body, and she was mingling in and out, and they had to take care of her along with doing the chores for everybody else. She stayed there for a week. 14-year-old child away from home, no parents to protect her, nobody to look out after her. And in the end, they piled them all on the bus and said, you can go now. She said she was so sick she had vomit all in her mouth, but the bus driver, who was a black man, said, don't vomit until we get out of this gate. And wait until we get outside. and then I'll pull over and let you all vomit. So, but if you vomit inside, they'll keep you. And she said she held on until they made the gate. And once they got outside of the gate, she vomited. She came home and she didn't say anything about it. She was a quiet person. And she didn't tell me the details until we were grown-ups and I was working in the state. And I wanted to find out what really happened, but there was nothing to find out. There were no records. There was no place. She didn't know where they had taken her. She couldn't figure out where it was. And so that has gone unnoticed for her and maybe 10 or 15 other kids. By now, she's 86. So all of those kids have probably died or they're old and it's been long forgotten. But I tell you, you don't know all that people fear. But this is why the word has gone out that black people should be afraid, should be very afraid before they take on any other untested medication. I also met, when I worked in Tuskegee, I met a lady whose grandfather had died as part of the syphilis study. And she said they expected to get money from the government for this. And they waited. Years passed. And she finally, being the head of her family, she got a letter that said you will receive a check from the government because your grandfather died in the syphilis study. She called all the family members together and said, our money is coming. And when they opened the letter and looked at the check, it was for $7. And that is all they got. We've been treated very badly amongst, slavery and Jim Crow and Ku Klux Klan and all of the things that we've gone through, not being able to vote, having to give our blood and sacrifice just to vote. Not just to vote, because voting is very important, but to vote and to live in peace. But we can't because our skin shows up that we ought to be treated differently. And I understand all that. So I said to my sister, I will take it. Let me take both shots and let me see how it affects me. And if I come out all right, I want you to take it. But if you're afraid to take it, I will go from California to Michigan. And I will hold your hand. And we will do it together. Because we can't let the situation win again. It won once before. And if we don't take the shots and we die a terrible death because we didn't, they will have won. So I say to you, grab hold of somebody. And when it is safe, go take your shots. And hold on. Because it is not fair for us to die in greater numbers than everybody else. It is not fair for us to have to suffer one more time. It is not fair. for us to go through this alone. So I ask you all, pray over it. See what your mind tells you to do. And know that I'm praying for you. And I want you to pray for me. The meek shall inherit the earth. And we have been the meek for a long time. God bless you. Every time I finish, I try to ask you to subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I don't talk to you long. I don't take up too much of your time, but what I want to do is to share with you all I can until I can't anymore. Like I said last time, I just turned 85, but I'm going to keep on talking because that's my gift. And I want you to keep on listening. And listen to my radio interview. That's on, I'm going to have to read this, on Daily Sparks with Mrs. Angela, speaking about my novel, My Ancestral Voices. And that's available on Apple iTunes, iHeartRadio, and wherever you get your podcasts. And purchase my book on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and Google Play, and Apple iTunes. It's a novel that tells stories about how we came to the 21st century on our knees, stripes on our backs, being denied every opportunity, but getting it done anyway. My book tells you how we got to be the way we are, how we got to be strong, and how we never took no for an answer. You keep on keeping on. God bless you.